This is Ken Jarrett, President of AmCham Shanghai. I'm in Washington, D.C. on our annual Washington, D.C. door knock, where we have a delegation of 14 members spending time with the administration and Congress to give a view of the field of how American companies are doing in China today. Also, as part of this visit, we meet with prominent experts in Washington on Chinese politics and Chinese economy. And I'm happy to have with me today Derek Scissors, who is a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute and a well-known expert on the Chinese economy. Derek, could you give us a sense of how you would define the principal challenges that the Chinese leadership faces in managing the Chinese economy?
The main challenge right now, the long-term challenge may be labor, but the short-term challenge has to be capital, which is that China has to find some way to deleverage without killing growth. So obviously one way you can deleverage is just say, oh, right, our money supply is just not going to grow anymore. That's a pretty radical way to deleverage. They've done it before, but it's been 25 years since they tried something like that. The other way to deleverage is you're going to have to take capital away from unproductive projects and assign it to productive projects. And the government has not done a very good job of that at all. We're still getting more debt being incurred, more capital being wasted, China digging itself deeper into that hole. My solution, which is not very popular, is you have to shrink the state sector. And that's automatically going to get you more productive use of capital. It doesn't magically make your problem go away, but it puts you on a better path. If the government's not going to do that, and they show no sign of it, quite the contrary, they have certain state-owned enterprises they want to make bigger and bigger and bigger, then they have to do a version of what they say they're doing, which is kill unproductive industry. So the steel industry has to shrink. The coal industry has to shrink. Shipping, both the port management and shipbuilding, because global trade is shrinking, you don't need as much. All those have to shrink. The government has said encouraging things about doing that, but implementing them requires both overcoming local and corporate opposition and then having job loss.
Do you think that President Xi Jinping in the run-up to the 19th Party Congress has the appetite to take on any of these issues?
It's a really good question. If this were Hu Jintao, the answer would be easily no. Right? We'd all agree, everyone watching would agree, Hu Jintao doesn't have the appetite to take on risk for the Party Congress. Xi has a different style. He may want to announce his second term with something more dramatic and forceful. Certainly the anti-corruption campaign has been dramatic and forceful. Some people hope and feel that it's clearing the decks for real economic reform, which we have not seen so far. So I understand the idea of caution, don't rock the boat, don't ruffle feathers before the Party Congress, but Xi has been something of a risk taker. If China is going to move forward, they're going to need dramatic, painful steps. The Premier has talked about reform will be like cutting one's own wrist. They know it's painful. They haven't been doing it. They've been afraid of the pain. Maybe the Party Congress is exactly the time to take on the pain. I'm not a political expert. I certainly can't say I believe this or there's 55% probability. I just wouldn't rule it out the way I would under Hu Jintao.
Well, thanks very much, Derek. I'm sure our members will appreciate that analysis of the challenges that China faces in managing its economy.